Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. If anyone has any questions, especially after the webinar, the best way to contact me is on Discord, and my name on Discord is Doug P. And then there's also a chat channel in Discord, Options-Doug. That's a good place to post questions, comments. I'll talk more about this in just a moment. This Options-Doug chat channel is open and welcome to all who want to post content related to the topics that I'll talk about in just a minute. And I'm also on Twitter, or X as it's known now, at Doug Pless. So these are the best ways to contact me, especially after the webinar, if you have any additional questions, comments. The focus of my presentation is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. So these are the topics that I'm going to be talking about. This is also the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord. So if you have any questions, comments, content related specifically to these topics, I look forward to your discussion, questions and comments, and Options-Doug. It is open to everyone. I just ask again that you stick to these topics. Anything about options, order flow, impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and market maker hedging flow. And I also ask, if this is content that you've created, just please let us know, especially a video or something like that, a YouTube video. So again, Options-Doug, open to all. Again, just follow the guidelines, stick to the topics, and let us know where the content comes from, if it is, especially if it is a video. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution, and I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about setups in an underlying asset, and the setups can be taken with a variety of instruments: futures, shares of stock, or options. For example, the S&P 500, you can trade ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, or SPX options. My analysis is based on the options market and looking at an underlying asset. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Again, if you have questions, comments after the webinar, please post them either in Discord or better yet in Bookmap Discord in the Options-Doug chat channel. And hello, Noah. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, my agenda for today. First of all, I want to talk about news items, economic data, events, and earnings for this week, wrap up this week, and then just briefly mention highlight some events for next week, and I'll talk more about that on Monday. All right, so the next thing that I plan to talk about is positional analysis. I'll go over my positional analysis for the day. Then I'll review a few setups from this morning, both ES, NQ, and a few stocks. Then I'll talk about the live market. And excuse me, when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, news items. Of course, today is the options expiration, monthly options expiration. And let's just take a look at the expiration concentration. This is for SPX. And note, for the last few expirations in a positive gamma environment, call dominated environment, the expirations have been dominated by calls, much more call delta notional than put notional delta for market makers. This expiration is a little bit different. This is for SPX, showing delta notional with the different expiration dates, and the bar on the left is today's expiration, August 18th. Blue bar showing the put delta notional, orange bar showing the call delta notional. This is showing more put delta notional than call, so somewhat of a call dominated expiration, and this was typical last year in a persistently negative gamma environment. And what can happen is these calls expire. So some, for SPX, some have already expired. There was an AM settlement, and then there'll also be a PM settlement. So some have already expired, and some will expire at the close today. And when those in this negative gamma put dominated environment, traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and they, as price decreases, they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And then when price increases, implied volatility drops, or puts expire, their delta notional will decrease, and they can buy back their short futures. And that's a put Vanna rally. And I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. That was what I was looking for today, and potentially on Monday as well. All right, so that is the expiration concentration for SPX. Let's take a look at SPY. Looking at the bar on the left here, and this is more of a neutral expiration, about the same amount of call, maybe slightly more put delta notional than call delta notional. We can just hover over this and see. So slightly more put delta notional than call delta notional. And then for QQQ, much more put delta notional than call delta notional. So also a put dominated expiration for QQQ. All right, so that is expiration for today. Next week, just to highlight a couple events. NVIDIA earnings, I believe, on Wednesday. I'll talk more about this on Monday. And then the Jackson Hole Symposium, the annual August meeting of central banks at Jackson Hole on Thursday and Friday. All right, let me get to my positional analysis now. This is the S&P 500 futures in Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. Let's take a look at SPX in a 30-day 1-hour chart. I'm going to zoom in on this so we can get a little bit closer look at price action. And what that's just showing is this downtrend. Let me zoom back out. Downtrend that began with the Fitch downgrade of U.S. debt has really accelerated down starting about Tuesday this week. Gap down and acceleration down. Let me zoom back in. All right, let me point out some levels on this chart. And I'm going to point out, first of all, the lower and upper weekly expected move, shown by the dashed purple lines. This is based on the options market, and I set this once a week over the weekend. So SPX is trading well below the lower weekly expected move. And then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. And note that SPX did test that level this morning, and it's now trading above the lower daily expected move. Let me point out the key Spotgamma daily levels on this chart. These are shown by the red horizontal lines. And first of all, here's the put wall. It's kind of hard to see. Put wall at 43.50. And note that level did move lower from yesterday. So the put wall at 43.50, that level is the strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support, and it did this morning. And then the next level up is the 4400 level, and that is the, first of all, the volatility trigger. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, again, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. Then on the other hand, above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue volatility. And then 4400 is also the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with the largest absolute negative and positive gamma. And then finally, the call wall remains up at 4600. That's the strike with the largest net positive gamma, and that can be expected to act as resistance, and that is not in play anytime soon. But it has held at 4600 all week. Yeah, it's held at 4600 all week. All right, so those are the expected moves, daily and weekly, as well as the key daily levels from Spotgamma. Let's take a look at another SPX chart. I'm going to go to a one-day chart. Zoom in on this. So this is showing, again, a one-day chart, the levels that are in play for today. So here's the lower daily expected move. And note that level, SPX gapped down below that level, moved up, tested that level, then moved higher. Then note this combo level, the 4340, this was noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders note. That level was in play. Support in the morning. And then here's the put wall at 4350. So those are the key levels in play for today. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap now. So in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, and I'm showing a variety of levels here. First of all, I've got the SPX levels. There's the 4350 put wall, and then there's a combo level 1 just below that, combo 1 level. That is combining SPX and SPY gamma into one level. Combo level is an important level. Combo 1, important level. Here's the 43.40 that acted support. And then here's the 435 level. That has been an important level today, acting as resistance. And then support. And support again. So SPY 435, a key pivot level for today. I'll talk more about setups in a few minutes. So those are the levels in play for SPY and SPX. And note there is a difference in point difference between ES and SPX. And right now it's somewhere between 13.5 and 14. Actually right now right around 14 plus or minus. I'm using 14 today. So this SPX 43.50 level, for example, the put wall, is shown at ES 43.64. Just add 14 points to the SPX level to get the equivalent ES level. And that holds for all of the SPX levels. All right, so those are the levels in play for SPX and SPY. For, again, the 43.40 support, level noted as support, and the Spotgamma AM Founders Note doing its job and acting as support. All right, shifts in levels for SPX, both the volatility trigger and put wall shifted lower. So that is significant, especially the put wall, moving that potential floor for price down to 43.50. That was also noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And then for SPY, the volatility trigger moved higher, put wall moved lower. That's significant, from 440 yesterday to 430 today, moving that potential floor for price for SPY down. And then for SPY, the call wall actually moved up, and I don't consider that significant. So overall, slightly bearish shifts lower, or bearish shifts lower for the SPX and SPY levels. And I think there were other forces in play today. I'll talk about my thesis in a few minutes. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Let's go to Nasdaq now and take a look at the levels. And I'm going to go to a QQQ chart. This is QQQ. We zoom in to today, showing the round number levels and the key daily levels. And note the put wall for QQQ at 356. That level did move lower from yesterday, moved down from 360 to 356. That's bearish. That was the only shift in levels for QQQ. And that level has been in play today, acting as support and resistance more or less. And then note this combo L4 level right around right at 355. That level acted as support more or less. And then the 358 level, that's not a gamma level, not a Spotgamma level, but that did act as resistance so far today. So pretty choppy day in Nasdaq, but generally trending up. Let's take a look at NDX levels. And here is the NDX 14,569 combo L4 level. Around that level acted as support. And then the put wall is up above at 14,700. All right, shifts in levels for Nasdaq. For NDX, with the volatility trigger and call wall shifted higher, the absolute gamma strike shifted lower to 14,700. That is also that's the put wall and the absolute gamma strike. And then again for QQQ, the put wall shifted lower. All right, so overall, I would say just slightly bearish, shifts lower for the Nasdaq. All right, here are the levels. Again, I have my own cloud notes showing QQQ levels and NDX levels. There's also a point difference between NQ and NDX, and that jumps around a fair amount. I'm using 52 today. So that is 52 plus or minus 3 or 4 points. All right, levels in play for today. Again, here's the, let me scrunch this up just a little bit so we can see the levels at the bottom and the top. So here's the 355 level acting as support. 358 level acting as resistance. And note the point of control shown by this solid purple line is right below the 356 put wall. All right, so those are the levels in play for Nasdaq. I've talked about shifts and levels. I'll talk about setups in a few minutes. And Vihu, good afternoon to you as well. Glad you're here. Welcome. Ask about NVIDIA levels. I will talk about NVIDIA when I get to setup review, and we'll take a look at levels at that time. All right, so let's take a look at some other information that I use in my positional analysis. So the next thing I want to take a look at is gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day for SPX, SPY, NDX, and QQQ. Again, this is gamma notional at the beginning of the day. These numbers are all negative, quite negative, extremely negative. All SPX, SPY, and QQQ over 1 billion negative or under, as you however you want to look at it. So anyway, 1.36 billion negative for SPX. That did shift lower from yesterday. And then for SPY, this is very negative, extremely negative, 2.745 billion negative. And that's certainly got to be the lowest number for the year, and certainly lowest number that I recall seeing in quite some time. Very negative gamma notional for SPY, and then also negative gamma notional 1.16 billion for QQQ. I normally don't pay much attention to NDX. It is the number's insignificant at 8.29 million compared to 1.16 billion for QQQ. All right, so these numbers very negative. Let's take a look at, just to illustrate exactly what this means, let's take a look at the Vanna model. And I'm going to take a look, start with, let's go to SPX first. And this gives us an idea of the potential fuel for a rally, how market makers positioned, and how they may react to changes in price and applied volatility based on changes to their delta notional. So this chart is showing delta notional on the vertical axis. This is market makers position, and how that changes with price shown on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The first, the light gray curve, is showing how market makers delta notional will change with changes in price only. And then the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation, showing how market makers' delta notional will change with changes in price and implied volatility. And that change in delta notional with a change in implied volatility is the Vanna effect. And Vanna is a second order Greek. So what this chart is showing is as price decreases and implied volatility increases, market makers' delta notional will increase. And remember, they want to remain delta neutral, so they'll have to sell futures. And this works both ways. As price increases and implied volatility drops, they can buy back their short futures. And that is, I look at that as potential fuel for a rally, a move higher. Again, looking for price to move higher, implied volatility to start to drop, and again, that potential fuel is there for a put Vanna rally. All right, so let's take a look. This is SPX. We know that SPX traded down around 43.40, the level right there. That was the support level noted again in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. Definitely on the left portion of this curve, the steep portion to the left, typical of a negative gamma environment. So what this is showing is as price increases and implied volatility drops, market makers can buy back short futures. That's that potential put Vanna fuel that can fuel a move higher. All right, so let's take a quick look at SPY. Very similar curve to SPY. SPY, the low of the day was around 433. Very, firmly in the left skew, the negative gamma portion of this curve, indicating again as price increases, implied volatility drops, market makers can buy back short futures. And for SPY and SPX options trades, market makers trade hedge with ES futures. And for QQQ, they hedge with NQ futures. So for QQQ, the low of the day was around 355 right there. And Truman asks, when you see the word notional after a key level like delta notional and gamma, does that always mean market makers' exposure for them in dollar amounts? I believe that is the case. So let's just zoom in on this chart. This may be very difficult to see, especially in YouTube, but there is a dollar sign. And sorry, I obscured that. Dollar signs in front of these numbers. So yes, Truman, I think that is the case. All right, so we know that there's the put Vanna potential fuel for a move higher. And that was really the basis for my thesis today, which was cautiously bullish, looking for a put Vanna rally. So that was my thesis for the day, based on this extreme negative gamma notional for SPX, SPY, QQQ, puts expiring today, potentially being rolled lower, but puts for today, definitely there's some expiring. Market makers can buy back short futures. All right, so let's take a look and talk about setups now. And I'm going to take a look at the S&P 500 first. And before I do that, I'm going to take a look at, see what options traders were doing today. And that had some impact on price today, but again, My thesis was primarily based on the Vanna rally, potential put Vanna rally. So this chart is showing price for SPX and the hero signal, HIRO, hedging impact real-time options. This is from Spotgamma, and this is showing a combined signal for multiple components of the S&P 500, SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. So this is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all of these different instruments, combined again into one signal. I'm going to zoom in on this chart. So if you trade any form of the S&P 500, this is really what you want to take a look at. All right, so this chart is showing initially, this is the, let's zoom in on this just a little bit here. So this chart is showing the cash open here. So of course, SPX and ES options trade before the cash open. Then SPY options join at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And just a couple of minutes after the cash open, options traders started taking negative delta positions, and then they stopped and started to take positive delta positions, and it took a few minutes, but price started to follow higher. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go back to ES. Let me zoom in on this morning move. All right, this is the move that I was looking for right here. All right, so we know around this time, traders stopped taking negative delta positions. They started taking positive delta positions. And note the shift in order flow shown by cumulative volume delta that really starts increasing just after 10 a.m. That's shown by this pink line here. And then price starts to make a series of higher highs. You can see the liquidity that comes into the order book. These are limit buy orders. And I think that helps to fuel a move higher. So again, that was the move that I was looking for this morning. And let's take a look at VIX and see what was happening at the same time. You zoom out just a little bit here for VIX. Take a look at the entire day. So we know that was around 10:15, 10:30 that the ES started to move higher. So here's VIX around that time, making a series of lower highs, and finally breaks out of this wedge pattern right around, looks like around 1040, something like that. So we know that price was increasing, implied volatility dropping, and think about that Vanna curve. Market makers delta notional is decreasing, and they can buy back their short futures. Those puts are losing value. They're expiring, coming close to expiration. So there's the charm effect also. Charm is the change in delta notional as time passes, and charm is in effect again on expiration day. All right, so there's VIX. So we know that options traders stopped taking negative delta positions. started taking positive delta positions. VIX was dropping and aggressive buyers started to come in. First of all, close to but not quite a retest of this 43.40 support level. Acted more or less as support right at the cash open. Price went down, retested it. Aggressive buyers come in. Also passive buyers, limit sell orders or buy orders. And then aggressive buyers. Price makes a higher low and continues higher, making a series of higher lows. So again, this is exactly what I was looking for this morning. And note the liquidity that comes in right around noon at 43, let's say 43.86, 43.87 right here. And this seems to have, those are limit sell orders, seem to have helped stop the move higher. All right, Truman says, my hero shows a lot of chop after 10 a.m. on S&P 500. How did you see them taking positive positions on hero? All right, so let's go back to that. And I will, when we get to Nasdaq, we'll see that that was a lot. Hero for Nasdaq was a much easier read today. And it was definitely choppy today. And that was not, it was a factor in my setup, but not the key factor really. So hero making a series of higher highs, higher lows is what I saw there. Not as clean as many stocks and as Nasdaq today, as we'll see in just a moment, but still generally overall moving higher. So maybe if you could place a moving average on this, it would be trending higher. So again, not necessarily an easy read, but definitely a factor. And one other way of looking at this is they definitely stopped taking negative delta positions. So at best, you could say that hero just leveled off. And Truman, I believe I saw a question from you in Discord yesterday. You must have deleted it, but I generally look at the entire signal for S&P 500. So Truman, I don't know what, are you looking at the combined signal for S&P 500? This is what I look at. So back to your question from yesterday. This is the combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. And I like to look at the combined signal. On any given day, maybe ES or SPX or SPY might have a stronger influence on the S&P 500. But overall, from day to day, I prefer to look at this signal. This is all the instruments that have an impact on order flow and price action in the S&P 500. All right, let's get on to Nasdaq now. So like I said, a much easier read for Nasdaq here. Options traders taking, this is a combined signal for NDX and QQQ. So Truman says yes, so try looking at the combined signal and see if that should look exactly like mine. You would be looking at the same thing. So this is a combined signal for NDX and QQQ. Traders taking positive delta positions from the open. Hero continues to trend higher all day. So traders are buying calls. They're also selling puts. Call buyers definitely in charge, especially starting around 11:30. Note this is pretty large for the Nasdaq 2.7 billion notional value for calls, traders buying calls. And note this level, this activity did stop right at 130. That's what that flat orange line shows. So let's go take a look at Nasdaq now. Go to Bookmap, go to Nasdaq. So Nasdaq reverses right around the same time, this time at the QQQ 355 level. A little bit more choppy in this move higher than the S&P 500. Makes a deep pullback to 14,650 and then makes a quick blast up to 750. Very fast 100-point move in Nasdaq NQ futures. But we know that traders, options traders, would have been taking positive delta positions, buying calls. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy NQ futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so there's Nasdaq. Another uptrend, again, a much easier, more clear read for the options trades shown by Hero for Nasdaq. Now let's take a quick look at some stocks, and we will get to NVIDIA in just a moment. So here's AMD. Nice strong uptrend today. Let's take a look at Hero, see what options traders are doing. Go back to the total signal. Go to AMD, and these are the stocks on my watch list down in this list below. Traders taking positive delta positions in AMD. So up until about noon, they were buying calls and selling puts, and then they started buying puts right around noon, but they continued to buy calls up until about 1 or 1:30. And note that orange line has leveled off. Blue line dropping now, so they're buying puts, but so far today the call buyers have been in charge. So with this Hero line sloping lower, it may be difficult for AMD to make further progress higher. And note, this is AMD is right around the 105 key gamma strike and put wall. And that level appears to be acting as resistance. Let's go back to Bookmap. So here's the 105 level, put wall, key gamma strike. So note the shift in order flow. The move up to this level was primarily fueled by options traders. That has stopped. Essentially, they've stopped buying calls, started buying puts, but now it looks like some aggressive buyers are starting to come in. You can see by the green volume dots. So up until right around, somewhere around here, options traders were driving the move higher. They stopped, and AMD chopped around the 105 level. Now green dots are showing aggressive buyers coming in at this level, and they may want to move price higher. All right, so that's AMD. Let's take a look at Microsoft. And I'm just showing some examples from today. And next we'll take a look at NVIDIA next. All right, so here's Microsoft. Let's go back to Hero, see what options traders are doing for Microsoft. So Microsoft, traders taking positive delta positions, buying calls and selling puts. Both the numbers are positive, but call buyers more aggressive and primarily driving price action. And let's go back and take a look at Bookmap. Very negative opening print here. Whoops, get this tool. Very negative opening print shown by the very large magenta volume dot. As typical of many stocks, this very large opening print and the closing print will probably be even larger. So quick move down to around the 312 level, some sell sweeps. Shown by these small red dots into this liquidity at right around 311.70, and then price reverses higher as traders continue to buy calls and sell puts. Let's just check gamma levels for Microsoft. So 315 is the put wall and 320 is the key gamma strike. Let's go back and take a look at Bookmap. 315 put wall, 320 key gamma strike. So note that Microsoft opened below the put wall, and that would be considered an oversold condition, and is now trading above. And note the high liquidity at the 320 level. Also liquidity at 317. So if Microsoft makes it above 317, 320 would be the next target. May not have enough strength to get there today. All right, the next is NVIDIA. Quite a bit of movement here in NVIDIA today. All right, so Bihu, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, wanted to take a look at NVIDIA levels. So first of all, we'll take a look at Hero to see the levels in play for today. So 420 is the put wall, 432.50 is the hedge wall, and then 440 is the key gamma strike and the call wall. So put wall, potential floor at 420. Price did breach below that level and is now trading above. 432 again, the hedge wall. Let's take a look at one other thing for NVIDIA. And we can see how the levels have changed from day to day. This is a 10-day history of the Spotgamma key daily levels. So what this is showing is in the last 4 days, the key gamma strike has dropped from 450 to 440, but it's really oscillated around really 400 to 450. Right now up toward the upper end of that range at 440. Call wall has been moving lower. That is bearish. From 500 to 450 to 440. Put wall looks like it has stabilized and moved higher to 420. So again, remember 420 was is the put wall for today. So there's the shifts in levels. Back to hero. Put wall, breach of the put wall, then moved higher, acted as support as expected, did its job. It took a while as traders were buying calls. That's shown by the rising orange line. So quick move lower all the way down to 417, and then traders stopped selling calls, stopped buying puts, and they started buying calls, and price moved higher. And note that unlike AMD, I believe, they continue to buy calls, so that appears to be not as aggressively as they were before. Now they are buying puts, but that activity really has pretty much leveled off since about 11:30 or 12. So dip buyers definitely have been in buying options on NVIDIA, helping to move price higher. Again, remember, when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Let's go back and take a look at Bookmap. NVIDIA. So pretty aggressive sweep lower down below the put wall, and then price reverses right around 10 a.m. starts to make a series of higher lows as traders start buying calls. Very strong uptrend in NVIDIA, and it continues to move higher as traders continue to buy calls. Let's just go back and take a look and see if we can get a little bit more detail about what traders are doing. I'm just going to take a look at this next expiry setting. Which for NVIDIA would be today's expiration. So it looks like a very large component of the trade today in options is options that expire today. Right around 2/3 of the options traded today so again, 0 DTE options that expired today, about 2/3 of the total for NVIDIA today. All right, let me take a look at questions. All right, Rainier Blank says, hello Doug, back again in Switzerland trading ES. Is this trade and sale? All right, he says trading with Bookmap and Spotgamma combined works great. I agree. That's been my approach for quite some time. I think it gets to the heart of what is driving price with Bookmap and Spotgamma. You can see so much. All right, so Truman asked, can you show a gamma chart by strike and show where the key gamma strike is? Which instrument? We're talking. So we're looking at NVIDIA. I can show it here. So this is for NVIDIA. All right, so there's the key gamma strike and call wall at 400. So that's the strike with the largest absolute gamma, and also the strike with the largest net positive gamma. All right, Truman says he traded 0 DTE NVIDIA and gained very value fast on uptrends. Yeah, I mean, if you bought a call down around the low of today, you made your day, made your week. All right, so for stocks, we can take a look at that. These key gamma strike, the gamma strikes in this chart here. This is the put and call impact chart. And we can also take a look at it in the live price and spot gamma levels. It's a little bit easier to see, I think, in the put and call impact chart. Yeah, here's the 440 level. So there's the key gamma strike shown on this chart. I think it's much more clear in this chart. All right, I've got a few minutes left. Let's take a look and go back to the S&P 500. Let's just check, compare 0 DTE. So 0 DTE shown by this green line or teal line is also negative, but not as negative as the total expiration line, the purple line. Let's turn that off. Take a look at Nasdaq. So now the Nasdaq signal has leveled off. Let's go check Bookmap. NVIDIA uptrend continues higher. Way to go, Truman. Great call today. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500. Oops. All right, so NVIDIA, obviously the stock of the day. So it looks like now the S&P 500 is kind of stuck between this liquidity on the upside and VWAP and the 435 strike, SPY 435 on the downside. Let's take a look at Nasdaq. All right, trade and sale, Rainier, welcome back. Glad you're back with us. Good to have you. Again, glad you're looking at Bookmap and Spotgamma. Great combination. And once again, the 358 level is acting as resistance. Looks like Nasdaq is trying to test that level one more time. Trade and sale says I love retail traders entering at VWAP. Yeah, VWAP is typically a good place to look for entries. Let's go back to ES. Got a couple minutes, maybe one or 2 minutes before I wrap it up. Any stocks that is there any stocks anyone wants me to take a look at? right, so Truman wants to take a look at Tesla. Really choppy day in Tesla today. I was not able to get a good read on Tesla. Let's see what options traders were doing. Really choppy day, up and down. Very strong correlation between hedging flow and price action, but I think NVIDIA, for example, was much easier to trade. All right, so not sure how to pronounce your name. And Truman says, the past 2 days, Tesla has confused me to death. I agree. NVIDIA, I like to trade Tesla and NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been easier to trade. So SKG, Gengo, sorry, not sure how to pronounce your name, says, hi Doug, I have Bookmap and Spotgamma. Is it possible to import Spotgamma levels directly to Bookmap? And yes, it is. For ES and NQ, Spotgamma offers, and let's just go here, open this link. So Spotgamma offers integrations for these trading platforms. So here's Bookmap. Just click on that link and you'll see some links that you can add to Cloud Notes in Bookmap. I used to use that. Now I just prefer to have my own. So what I do is I have my own Cloud Notes. I use an add-on available in the Bookmap marketplace called price lines, not price levels, price lines. And so I can have one column of Cloud Notes with SPX levels, SPY levels, and anything else that I want to put in there. So for Bookmap, if you want to use this, it is automated, it's updated automatically, but it's only SPX levels, and sometimes their price difference between ES and SPX is based on the close yesterday. Sometimes that changes a little bit overnight. So they are using, I think, 15-point difference today, whereas the actual difference is closer to 13.5 today. So I essentially do this manually, trade and sell. Apparently says he does that as well. So here's what I do. Let's go to Bookmap. Let's go back to, so this is only for, I could do this for all stocks. I just don't have time. So I have Cloud Notes for every stock. Here for stocks, I'm typically just showing the round numbers, the 5s and the 0s in red, and all the intermediate round numbers in yellow. So that's for stocks. And then for ES, I have my own Cloud Notes, that C levels column, and then this is a spreadsheet. So all this information I put in a spreadsheet this morning. So here are the SPX levels. I get all of this from Spotgamma, and then I just enter it in my spreadsheet this morning I was using a 14-point difference. So there's the 4,300 level shown in the C column, and the B column is showing 4314. All right, so that's what I do. It's a little bit more, it's definitely more work than just using the Spotgamma Cloud Notes, but it's more accurate and I can show more information. So here I have the SPY levels as well. So I've got all of that in one one column of cloud notes. More accurate, more information, but not necessary. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm a little bit over time. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you very much for your questions and comments. I really appreciate it. Everyone have a great weekend, and I will see you tomorrow, Monday. Have a great weekend. See you Monday. Thanks again. Bye.